It is July 10th, 2025. We have reports of Pentagon Ghostbusters. We also have a report of a space capsule carrying human remains crashing into the Pacific. And of course, we have cyborg bees from China. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the attempt on Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. Plus, it is Nikola Tesla's birthday. This is Inverted World Live. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. This is Inverted World Live, and I'm your host, Shane Cashman. We're glad you're here on our last day of the week. We got a lot to talk about before we get to callers. Hopefully, we'll get to callers in like 25, 30 minutes. But for those who don't know, this is a call-in show. Our link to call-in is pinned in the chat on both Rumble and YouTube. If you've got a weird story you want to share with us, some strange encounter you've had, you give us a call. We'll talk about it. Or if you have an idea of one of the things we've talked about beforehand, or something you've heard another caller mentioned, hit us up. It's audio only. We'd love to hear from you. Our first story today is about this Pentagon Ghostbusters situation that the New York Post put out, which sounds a lot like the caller we had just a few weeks ago. Some of the stuff in this story we've heard before. It's Skinwalker Ranch stuff. It's whistleblower UFO stuff. But the way they frame the story is literally just like the caller we had 2 weeks ago, who, what was his name? Something Mick? I forget.
Something like that. Well, Sergeant Mick or something. He was something close to Sarge, I think. But something
close to Sarge, yeah. But not Sarge. But before we get into all that, you heard his voice. He's here with me tonight. Brandon, say what's up.
What is up, everybody? What is up, Shane? Let's get weird and cap out the week.
Yeah. What a crazy week. And now we have all these crazy stories. Man, I saw they call it the buck moon. And I saw it as I was driving in. They call it that because this is the time of year when the bucks start growing their antlers out there. And the moon was just bright red. It looked like lava just glowing in the sky just above all the cornfields I have to drive through to get here. It's pretty beautiful. Pretty fitting as I drive into Inverted World Live. But my goodness, like I was saying, this caller, you guys might remember, he called in, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, said he was a spook. Those are his words, for the government, and his job was to go out and hunt monsters, all types of monsters. He said that he had part of his job, the beginning, I think his first mission, he said, was being dropped into some area to fight a Wendigo. We were quite skeptical, especially when Brandon heard him say the beluga sphere. We kind of gave each other a side glance and I don't know about this. If you're going to be a guy who's a Ghostbuster for the Pentagon, you should know at least to not call it the beluga sphere. You know what we call it. It's the bogus sphere.
He also wasn't earning himself any points when he said the writing on the bogus sphere was legit.
We tapped out at that point, and then I think he said we should trust Luis Elizondo, who I really don't trust much at all. But if you are listening, you should give us a call, because we have some things to talk about, because I have some theories, and there's no article to read. We can pull up the video, maybe just show you a minute of it. It's not a very good video. The New York Post put it out.
Also, one of the main feedback points that I got from the chats that night was that everybody thought he was a 15-year-old kid that was trolling us, because he sounded like he was going through puberty, kind of.
He did, and then he also said he worked for this job for 15 years, so that didn't add up. With the voice, the time he said he had to get out. He had a price to pay. When I asked him what that meant, what was the price you had to pay to get out of this job, he said it was some mission. He told us he had to talk to his lawyers before talking to us. Stuff I would love to hear about. I'll be honest, I wasn't really adding up, but I love these stories, and I would love to hear from him again, considering that this story has broken. So let's just show them like a minute, if we can even get through it, of this video, kind of show people what they're talking about. This is from the New York Post. It just dropped today. They called it the Pentagon Ghostbusters, and I believe the host of this has a mullet. And lately, I just don't trust anyone with a mullet.
We had this problem last night.
Two mullets in a row, people.
Two mullets do not make a right, ladies and gentlemen.
That's the new title of this episode.
All right, let's get into it.
is a true story. Believe it or not. A rogue group of paranormal true believers inside the U.S. government claim they've had close encounters with UFOs, ghosts, psychic powers,
Night at the Roxbury,
Bigfoot. For decades, they've been trying to find a supernatural truth.
That's crazy. I don't know.
Some say they're crusaders that will change the world.
Yeah, I don't
Others
trust those guys.
say they could simply be crazy.
Either they're telling the truth, or we have people in really important positions of government who are crazy.
I have uncovered new
Fancy that.
government
Look at
documents
that.
that reveal
Guys,
more
look at that.
shocking stories about this group I call.
Okay, let's pause it right there.
Oh my God.
You guys can look this up later. There's a lot of stuff I want to get through tonight, but look at that. I mean,
It looks
what do
like
you
the
think?
intro for the next season of Stranger Things.
Exactly.
The hell is going on
I
here?
love that this is now coming out through the New York Post just a few weeks after the story where we found out the Pentagon has been lying about UFOs to cover up for Lockheed Martin stuff. But you know, now we have monster hunters. Epstein had no clients, but we have Pentagon people, Ghostbusters hunting monsters.
0 clients.
The monsters have clients though, and they're out there hunting them. If you guys, I recommend it later on. If you're bored, watch that video. There's a part where they talk about one lady who's with one of these agencies getting like followed by a dinosaur cryptid. Some of these stories you will have heard before if you follow this stuff, especially the Skinwalker Ranch stories. But I'm not going to force you guys to watch that whole video. It's very long. I wish there was an article to go along with it. There's not, but it's fascinating that just came out. My only theory about the caller and this now, until we hear from you again, is that he's either running PR for the Pentagon and knew the story was coming out and he was trying to get us all on board with the UFO narrative, or he's a psychic and he just understood that soon enough he was going to be vindicated by this New York Post article. But we'll see. I'll keep an eye on it. We have a space capsule that's fallen out of the sky. This is very interesting to me because I did a whole story on this exact company about a year or two ago for The Spectator. And I interviewed these people I interviewed a bunch of these people because there's multiple companies that do this thing where you can send your ashes into space. There's a lot of people that do it. Gene Roddenberry, the guy who created Star Trek, he's got his ashes on the moon, if you believe in that thing.
I knew it was coming. I was just about to say it.
Yeah, I can't help it. But there's a lot of places that do this. There's also a place I interviewed. You're going to love this, everyone. This is a type of a fake cloud I don't talk about often enough, and that is the fake cloud that's filled with human remains, because there's a company that every day is up there dumping ashes into the sky all over the place, and you can find that article somewhere. It's still up at thespectator.com. It's wild, but one of these capsules has crashed into the Pacific Ocean. I couldn't not talk about it briefly, and this is also from our friends at the New York Post, doing the Lord's work. A space capsule carrying the ashes of more than 160 people and a stash of cannabis seeds was lost when it crashed into the Pacific Ocean after 2 orbits around Earth. The exploration company, a German startup, launched the Nix capsule's Mission Possible on June 23rd. Its precious cargo included the remains of 166 people whose ashes were sent into orbit through Celestis, a Texas-based space burial company. Celestis are the people that I spoke with last year. While the departed souls had smooth sailing for 2 successful orbits around Earth, an anomaly occurred, and the vehicle was lost shortly after re-entry. Celestis co-founder and CEO Charles M. Chafer wrote on its website. The root cause is under investigation, resulting in the Nix capsule impacting the Pacific Ocean and dispersing its contents at sea. Do these people get refunds? We will find out. As a result of this unforeseen event, we believe that we will not be able to recover or return the flight capsule aboard. No kidding. TEC said the capsule was launched successfully, powered the payloads nominally in orbit, stabilized itself after separation with the launcher, re-entered and re-established communication after blackout, it wrote on LinkedIn, where everyone catches up on their ashes and outer space news. When the capsule returned to Earth's orbit, the company suddenly lost communication with it a few minutes before splashdown, it added. The materials on board the capsule have not been recovered since its crash landing in the Pacific, the company confirmed. We apologize to all our clients who entrusted us with their payloads. I wish they would stop calling it a payload. That is disturbing me. Schaefer said Celestis shares in the disappointment of their families, and we offer our sincerest gratitude for their trust. I believe Schaefer is the guy I interviewed at this place, but I'll have to look that one up. While there were many successful milestones achieved, launch, orbit, and controlled re-entry, this was the first Celestis mission designed to return from orbit, and we recognize the bravery and ambition it required from all involved. Well, there you have it, people. I just want to give you that little bit of news and also tell you that places like Celestis, I have to go reread my article. I forget which one it was. It might be Celestis or it might be another one, have actually sent DNA of JFK and George Washington into space. And like a lot of people get their ashes shot into space and or on the surface of the moon. They are literally turning whatever that rock is orbiting Earth into a graveyard. Like I've said before, when I was interviewing Alex Jones for a story a while back, his theory, which I think about quite often, especially as I was looking at the moon on my way into work today, is that the moon is a graveyard. And they went there, they landed, but they couldn't film it because the people couldn't handle how many dead bodies are on the moon, according to Alex and his sources at NASA. Who knows? But I do know there's companies making a lot of money by sending people to space when they're dead. A lot of famous people.
This is what gets me is to the 166 families whose loved ones we accidentally misplaced in a capsule launch. We're sorry.
Sorry.
I can guarantee you there is a clause somewhere in those contracts that says that if your loved one burns up or is lost, we will not be held responsible.
Imagine being cremated twice. Unbelievable. That is dirty work, Celestis. Sorry to everyone out there. And I love that they use the phrase splashdown when talking about this. Like, come on. These are people's family and friends. But
payload was much more offending in my opinion. Like, to the payloads lost in the incident. We're sorry.
The payload splashdown of 166 people. Ridiculous. So, yeah, if you guys are more interested in that, I highly recommend. There's a bunch of stuff online about all these weird companies that send your ashes into space. Some people try to send remains like your body, but that's real. You got to be rich.
Also,
for that.
Am I the only one wondering why the hell there was a bunch of weed seeds?
True. True.
Like, were you gonna grow them in the dead people? Like, what? Like, why did you include them?
Good point.
I don't know. That's just came to me late.
You know, and there's been a lot of people over the years who've talked about wanting to store a lot of human DNA in a capsule outside, floating around space. I think Elon's one of those people, and there's someone else who floated that idea in the past, 5 or 10 years. So that's a whole other thing. So I don't know. What worried me about George Washington and JFK being sent into space, like their DNA is, say there are these demons or extraterrestrials out there. What if they clone them and send them back to us? Who's to say what will happen should they return to Earth? Will they be on our side? I don't know. Anything is possible. Like our next story. We have a cyborg bee coming out of China. Now I don't think do we talk about it on the show? I forget if it was during the week.
Chinese cyborg bee? I don't think we've discussed. That might have predated me, but
did we talk about the mosquito from China then?
We talked about, in that one that I sat in on, one of my first shows I sat in on you with, we talked about mosquitoes that Bill Gates was building without the, proboscis or whatever on them. And I was like, why the hell would they do that?
So there are those. But we also saw recently that China was putting out their mosquito drones, which is not really news, although it was reported on as new news. But we had known about stuff like that for quite some time. I'm sure we have that kind of thing. I'm sure they've had that kind of thing for a while. But today, in the South China Morning Post, we have this. Chinese scientists create first cyborg bee with world's lightest brain controller. Worker bees carry nectar sacs weighing 80% of their body mass. When airborne, they tuck their hind legs like landing gear to cut wind drag, and they can fly 5 kilometers, which is 3 miles, with no need for rest, an example of how nature's genius shames human machinery. Until now. At Beijing Institute of Technology, Professor Zhao Zheling, I don't know, team has built the world's lightest insect brain controller. At 74 milligrams, it is lighter than a sack of nectar. Strapped to the bee's back, the device pierces its brain with 3 needles. It's coming for you, people. It creates illusions with electronic pulses to command flight, turn left, turn right, advance, retreat. And it's not in the article, but at one point, attack. 9 out of 10 times the bee obeyed. The cyborg bee would serve as military scouts or search for survivors in the ruins of an earthquake, according to a peer-reviewed paper published on June 11th in the Chinese Journal of Mechanical Engineering. Insect-based robots inherit the superior mobility, camouflage capabilities, and environmental adaptability of their biological hosts, wrote Zhao and his colleagues. And look at that little diagram there. Yeah, we did it. We're in the future.
All right, this is terrifying for me because there's one thing I hate, it's wasps. I mean, why? Its sole purpose is just to fly around, get in your face, and be a dickhead all day.
Dude.
Like, why do we need these weaponized?
It's gonna save you. It's gonna save you, man. This is here to be a hero.
Yeah, no. We're gonna raise them to go and just do pollen and normal things that bees do anyway, because we need to interfere with the process of nature itself. But it can't be weaponized. Don't worry about it.
We are cloning mammoths. We're cloning direwolves. We're making fake clouds with acid rain and silver iodide to destroy your brain. We got fluoride in the water. We have fake bees and fake mosquitoes to spy on you and deliver personalized bioweapons. We're going to have pterodactyls roaming the sky at some point. They'll be the future bioengineered drones delivering your Amazon packages. Everything's awesome. So this is pretty sweet, I think, out of China. I hope you guys are all stoked on it like we are. We'll just keep an eye on this story. I don't have to go through everything here. I want to hear from you guys before one more story and get to our callers. But
hey, get this last part in here where, compared to synthetic alternatives, they demonstrate enhanced stealth and extended operational endurance, making them invaluable for covert reconnaissance in scenarios such as urban combat, counter-terrorism, and narcotics interdiction, as well as critical disaster relief operations, they added.
Dude, well, how can you argue with that?
It's a bee.
How can you It's a bee. Yo, bees are coming back. Killer bees. Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang. Guys.
But I digress.
The future is crazy. And this is just the evolution of things they've been doing for a long time. We've known about the drone birds. We've known about the cat spies. We've known about the dolphins on acid. They're talking to whales so they can talk to ET. Next up, who knows? But the bees are coming for you. And who knows if you're allergic to them? There will be a vaccine if you're allergic to the drone bee. And it will be made in China. Thank God. What else do we have? Look, this weekend, we're going to hit, is it this weekend? Sunday will be the 1-year anniversary of Butler, Pennsylvania, and the attempt on Donald Trump's life. That was a crazy day. I was in New York with family that day, and we'll call them friends. I use that word lightly. These are the type of people I haven't seen in a while, but they show up for a family function. And let's watch this before I continue.
Oh, you could talk even while it's going on.
This is insane. Still an insane video for many reasons. I had friends there, or again, friends in quotes. These are typical liberal New Yorkers who were upset that this man didn't die that day. Now, I've got a lot of different feelings on this event and how things went down, but I would never wish death on someone. And that just blew my mind in general. No pun intended. I'm sorry. Too soon. But they were legitimately upset that this man didn't die. That was shocking, but not so much because I was in New York. But this is just a year ago. Think about how much has changed. I mean, think about Elon returning to this stage with Trump jumping up and down with his Neuralink in his brain. saying, Trump is the best guy ever, and think about how that relationship has dissolved in this year. We have had some wins. I still champion the fact that the J6ers were pardoned. That was an incredible thing he came through with.
Yeah, but look what happens when you miss. Watch this and listen to the crowd reaction. I mean,
yep.
The picture that was taken here when he did this was one of the most epic things I've ever seen in my life. And you think all these people were pumped earlier. They just watched him survive an assassination attempt. These people are like, to hell with it, shoot us too. They don't even care. Half of these guys were back up after the shots were fired, just recording.
Yeah.
And didn't care because they're like, all right, well, they're not shooting at us. Let's get this on video. Like,
and the people who lost their lives. I mean, what was his name? Compatori, the firefighter, lost his life, was shot. This is just a crazy situation.
Yeah, because it hit him, right? And I think you hear screaming early on right after the shot.
Yeah.
Let me see here. So after this stops, they neutralize the shooter. And you hear a woman scream here. Like blood-curdling, horror movie scream. And I think that was when they realized that he was shot. Not the president, but the firefighter guy.
Insane. To me, it was just like, it felt like a bookend to all conspiracies. Like it was the end. It was almost like everything we talk about condensed into a day, and all the strange stuff that happened. I'm going to try to read. I probably won't get through all of it, but I wrote something about this right after, a week or two after this happened, as we were trying to get more information. I haven't looked at this until just now, so this might be terrible, but I just want to refresh my mind, because I remember as I was writing this, trying to figure out what the heck that was, because the second it happened, everyone had questions about everything, and who that shooter was. The only thing I'm going to change as I read is that the first sentence says, I know it's only been a little over a month. So I guess it was a few weeks after that I wrote this, since the attempt. But now we'll just say, I know it's been it's almost been a year since the attempt on former President Trump's life, and a lot has been reported. But we know for sure that Thomas Matthew Crooks was the lone shooter. He was also one of two shooters. Actually, it's possible there were three shooters. Or he wasn't a shooter at all. He was a patsy. The real shooter was on the water tower. However, the water tower ladder was never used that day, and the water tower was inspected and cleared by way of a drone thanks to the county tactical commander. Whoever shot at Trump, it's been speculated by those familiar with Hillary Clinton's thinking that she, in fact, kissed each bullet before they were given to the shooter. We know Thomas Matthew Crooks lived approximately 40 miles from Butler, Pennsylvania, where he allegedly dreamed of becoming an assassin. He worked at a nursing home. He planned the assassination attempt all by himself. He used encrypted messaging apps based in New Zealand, Belgium, and Germany. We don't know who he was talking to, but he was certainly talking to Iran or Russia or even one of our own federal agents posing as an overseas profile. Crooks had no digital footprint, but we know he Googled Lee Harvey Oswald and JFK. The assassination attempt was politically motivated, but also the assassination attempt was not politically motivated. Crooks was a registered Republican. He donated to Democrats. He liked to wear camouflage. He was a gun nut. He showed no signs of mental illness. He had a major depressive disorder. He was trans. He preferred she pronouns. He was a white nationalist. He was a male feminist. He was anti-Semitic. He was Jewish. He was Antifa. He was MAGA. He was a Fed. He was under a spell. Clandestine organizations hypnotized him into political bloodlust. He was a remote-controlled assassin for violent deep state vampires. He was radicalized on the dark web. He was Mossad. He was a tool to gain power utilized by the Five Eyes. He was an actor in a BlackRock commercial. He was an accelerationist. He was a proxy weapon controlled by accelerationists, but he had no idea about accelerationism. He was pumped full of SSRIs. He was just a crazy loner kid fetishizing infamy. He wanted to see his name in headlines. Thomas Matthew Crooks wasn't even his real name. His entire identity was born in a CIA lab. He did long-range target practice at the same shooting range used by the Department of Homeland Security. The failed assassin's parents called the police worried about their son hours before Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Crooks was able to fly a drone over the rally to scope out the best possible options for an assassination. Leading up to the rally, the Secret Service failed to employ drones to help surveil the event. July 13th, 2024 just so happened to be the first time Secret Service counter-snipers were ever deployed to protect the former president at a rally. This was just a coincidence. Crooks fired 8 shots in just over 5 seconds. One attendee, Corey Compatore, was shot and killed. Compatore was standing between the gunman and the former president. 2 other attendees were injured. 8 casings were retrieved from the sloped roof where the shooter took aim at the former president. He was killed by Secret Service counter-snipers, or he was killed by the local police. He never died because he was never alive. His corpse was handcuffed as it lay prone and bloodied on the roof. He was a cadaver that the Secret Service placed on the roof for a photo op. They said Crooks used a ladder to get to the roof, but he also might have scaled the AC unit. A man in a gray suit joined the Secret Service on the roof to view the failed assassin's dead body. The Secret Service thought the man in the gray suit was Secret Service. He told one of the men on the roof to send all their pictures to a specific number. The man in the gray suit was not part of the Secret Service. No one knew him. He is still a mystery. I'm going to end it there. If you guys want to look it up, you can just look up everything we know about the Donald Trump attempt on Donald Trump's life. It goes on and on and on, but you get the point. Everything I'm reading there was everything in the news. No one knew anything, and we know nothing more today. There's rumors about the guy in the gray suit. Some people think they figured that out, but no one knows anything. Like I said, I think it was yesterday, one of the congressmen was investigating this assassination attempt, and they cremated the body before he even had a chance to look at it. Whole thing is bizarre. Super weird. We still don't have any answers. I don't know why we don't talk about it. This is a crazy attempt. A brazen attempt on president's life. I just, people question it, like, was the whole thing staged? I think anything's a possibility, honestly. I'm not saying I think Trump knew. Some people would say that. I think there was a whole bunch of incompetence happening that day, and I think evil actors used that incompetence as a shield to hide behind to get their thing done, whatever that was. There might have been more than one shooter. We were just talking about the Zapruder film at the beginning of this week. We still don't know really anything about that. We know what we've been lied to about, and that's pretty much where we are at now. So I am imagining it'll be another 60 years until we have any more answers about that. I hope not, but considering what they've done with the Epstein files, who really knows? So that's my take on that. I just can't believe we still don't know anything new about Thomas Matthew Crooks. I still can't believe we're not really talking about it anymore, despite not,
You're still talking about this? Are we still talking about this guy? Hang on. You know why you haven't seen anything is because it's on Pam Bondi's desk. It's coming.
With what was your joke? What's on her desk?
Oh, the copy of GTA 6. That's why we haven't seen it yet. She's got the copy of GTA 6.
Man,
it's on her desk.
Guys, this is crazy. They today, I don't have time to do all that today unless no one's calling in, but I imagine we have callers, and I want to get to you guys really soon.
We got a few, and I want to show another thing too. Finish what you're doing first.
I was just going to say, maybe we'll get into it next week. But this fake cloud situation has been ramping up. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene she's trying to get this thing passed about stopping weather modification. We had this, mullet demon making the rounds everywhere, talking about his Rainmaker. He's the CEO of Rainmaker, making seeding clouds, whatnot. And today, after all this hoopla in the news about fake clouds, Lee Zeldin, who is in charge of the EPA, has released everything he knows about contrails. And they actually do make the distinction in the papers about a contrail versus a chemtrail, which I appreciate. And it's just an interesting thing about transparency. Mostly, from what I've seen so far, it basically says we're not under attack by fake clouds, so I highly disagree with it. But I can appreciate it. It's just I find it funny. It's like it seems like pretend transparency. And after the way the Epstein rollout went down, I'm just very suspicious of everything. And now they're trying to throw us like red meat here and there. But we still don't know anything about Thomas Matthew Crooks. So that's where I would like the answers on that. I would like answers on a lot of things. Also, just one quick thing, follow up with Epstein. We had that lawyer guy, I'm forgetting his name now, but he said that he is under, by law, because of a judge's order, can't say anything about the list that he says he's seen according to Epstein clients. I'm trying to speak, super popular lawyer guy, totally can't remember his name right now, but it was going viral today. So he was saying, I've seen the list. I'm under order not to say anything. I'm like, dude, you're going to get kidnapped if you put that out there, because people are dying for that information. But it's going to be really hard to believe anything you see. You've probably seen leaks of the client list online, and who knows what's real. But anyway, what do you got going on over there?
So I figured it was an appropriate time with us talking about Trump and everything to follow up on yesterday's conversation where it was brought up that Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton were related.
Yes.
So I did a little digging on this, and I do want to just give you guys the first spurt of this, even though it doesn't do anything for me. But cousins, ? Firm finds Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are related. A genealogy tracking firm announced Tuesday Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, rival frontrunners in the race for the White House in 2016, are related as 19th cousins. Where these people find the time, I just do not know.
19th.
A genealogy tracking firm announced Tuesday. No, we already did that. They put it in there twice, those jerks. All right. And that they have royal blood from King Edward III, their 19th great-grandfather.
Dang.
Again, where the hell do you find the time?
Dang.
Therefore, an author associated with the study by Genie.com said ruling a country is in their genes. Giggity. And neither campaign reacted to the announcement, not even Trump, who's known to fire off tweets and statements even remotely supportive of this claim to the party nomination. Not really surprising. And then they go on to just talk about how they have a heated relationship, and we already know that because we lived that part. So tell us your thoughts. Does it matter that they are 19th cousins? Do we think that this is all BS and just a company trying to get the upper hand on the rest of the public eye? Or do we think that there is actually some kind of symbology here behind the fact that these are two people who are trying to run the world? Your thoughts?
After reading that article, everyone should then go listen to Kanye's song "Cousins." No, don't do that. That's disgusting. As I'm wearing my Ye 24 shirt. I think everyone's probably related to some point, considering Genghis Khan conquered the whole planet and did to Earth what Elon and Jeffrey Epstein had in mind to do with seeding the entire planet with their DNA. But I do think there's something to what the caller was saying last night about whether it's the Masons or not, some preordained, mapped out situation with ancient bloodlines. But, it could also just be a coincidence, which I don't believe in.
333 and a third cousins, 265 times removed.
I wonder how many of us are 19th cousins to Hillary Clinton. I hope not. That means we're all lizards? Damn, that sucks.
Could be worse.
Could be worse, yeah. I don't know how, honestly. This actually seems like pretty bad to be related to them. Imagine their family reunions with all their lizard skin. But shout out to the Clintons. Don't kill me. Please don't kill me. We did have, there was an IRL episode we did a while back with the guy who carried the nuclear bomb for Bill. And he wrote like a book.
The nuclear football?
Nuclear football. That's what it was. Yeah. And he was very critical of them. I was like, well, okay, he's alive still. So, that's fine. But that was a crazy story. He had a lot of really crazy stories about Bill Clinton because he had been with him the whole time for a long period of time and seeing him do some wild stuff. I forget that guy's name. I'm terrible at these guys' people's names, obviously. But that was a fun episode hearing those crazy stories. But we should do some callers.
Yeah, let's get into it. So I want to bring on Jerry first. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello.
All right, we can. Welcome back.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
What's up, Jerry?
Well, regarding the Butler incident with Trump, what I found highly unusual was how quickly they cleaned up the crime scene. There was a guy, I remember a guy being on the roof with a hose. sort of washing everything down from the roof.
Yes, that was weird. That also made no sense to me, how quickly they cleaned that up.
Yeah, that is a crime scene.
I've never seen a crime scene kind of sort of put together with a lid on top so quick in my life.
Yeah, like I've said before, I grew up right next to West Point, this military base, and every 2 years, every 4 years, the president would speak at their graduation. So I was really used to like seeing how a 2-mile radius was completely locked down for a president to arrive. You could hardly move. In your own town, the sky was on lock, the mountain was on lock, the river was on lock. And that's why seeing whatever was going on in Butler made no sense. Like, you got a former president around all these people. He is despised by a lot of people. And I don't know. Seems like they let it happen. And what you're referencing with the people cleaning up, the power washing the roof so quickly, that was weird. That was weird.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to. There's something really weird. I was wanting to talk to you about Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland.
Okay, let's hear it.
Right. Where are we? Because I wrote all this down because I love this. I love history, and I remember before I said lots of weird things happen to us, but I try and find a logical answer rather than it's something else.
Right.
Well, Rosslyn Chapel is just outside Edinburgh, and apparently this chapel's got the golden ratio. If you look inside the chapel, there's what's called the apprentice's pillar, and it's got like the way it's actually intricately carved out. People referenced it to a DNA helix, which I find quite unusual because Dolly the sheep was the very first cloned animal from the Rosslyn Institute.
Oh, interesting.
Now, there's got astronomical and mathematical stuff within the carvings of the chapel. There's carvings of corn around one of the windows. Now, this chapel was built in 1450.
Wow, that's amazing.
And this was well before, obviously, America was discovered. But also in Scotland, we had the Vikings that came down, which would then link into the Vikings that went to America before Columbus.
Yeah, they were pretty brutal over there, huh?
Yeah. Also, regarding weird things that happens, there's apparitions of black monks at different parts of Rosslyn Chapel. And at the altar, quite a few people have noticed there's 3 knights that are kneeling with their swords in front of them. And a black monk is standing in front of them. And they reckon that the 3 knights standing behind the monk are Knights Templar. And there's also iconology around the chapel. That's, Knights Templar. Because there's lots of stuff. There's iconography of Inuits, Native Americans, Indians, gurus, like I said, Knights Templars. I don't know if you could even pull a photograph of it up to see the interior because it's so complex.
Yeah, I'm looking at an image now. I don't know if, Brandon, if you can pull one up so they can see it, but it's I'm looking at their website, and it says the pillar is made from sandstone and was carved using simple tools such as a mallet and chisels. There's a famous story about how the pillar was made by an apprentice boy, hence its name, Apprentice Pillar. But I'm looking at like the chapel. The inside is insane. Like now, beyond the pillar.
If you have a look at that picture, Shane and Brad, you'll see on the roof little squares. It's like what it looks like, little squares that are on the roof on like if you have a look, it's weird, but there was 2 guys. There was Thomas and Stuart Mitchell, father and son. 40 years they were actually looking into those little squares because there was unusual patterns on them, and they couldn't decipher where those patterns came from. Now, there's a scientific name for it, but I can't remember. But if you have like, say, a piece of rubber and you put like salt on it, and you have like sounds and noises, they make all those different patterns.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it's the Apprentice pillar. It's called.
Yeah, in Rosalind.
Yeah, the
Chapel.
one with the spirals around it, and a lot of people were saying, "Oh gosh, I mean, Dolly the sheep was cloned at the Rosalind Institute, and that looks like a helix."
Yeah, that's a very interesting connection that you've made there.
It is, isn't it? I mean, because let's say lots of weird things happen to me, but I also noticed lots of weird sort of connections as well. I mean, silly things like the guy that you had on the other night, what's his name? Captain
Sergeant Peyton.
That's it. Yeah, he looked like, he sounds like, I mean, I'm sure he's a lovely guy and all the rest of it, but I thought he was going to have an aneurysm or he was going to pass out. But I mean, during these ramblings, he did come across a lot of sort of pinpointed stuff. That, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but it puts you in mind of Manson when he says, "Hey, I wrote a song for the Beach Boys." Everybody's like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah.
But he actually did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing weirder than life.
No, I agree. Like, I love reading fiction, but reality is stranger than fiction. It's true. And the Beach Boys did make Charles Manson's song, I think, better than his version. They made it a little less dark. But do you know what I'm looking at this word here on the Rosalind Chapel website about these dragons, and it's called the Dragons of Nephelheim. Do you know what that?
Well, see, if you actually look at two of the pillars of, I think, and I know of has them. The Apprentice's pillar definitely does have it. At the base of it, what it is Viking lore, and it's the dragons that are sort of intertwined at the base of that pillar. And that's where it comes from, the Vikings. And it's also got over 100 carvings of the Green Man.
Of the what?
That's like a pagan.
Oh.
It's weird. See this church. It's weird. It's paganism. It's Catholicism. It's loads of different stuff. And through the Reformation in the UK, that was when they were sort of smashing up monasteries, and that was when King Henry the Eighth had to be a serial marriage guy.
Right.
So we had to do away with the Catholic Church. But how on earth that church survived, or that chapel survived, considering they were also trying to clear out pagan iconology and symbolism. And
that's interesting. So this is a Catholic chapel?
Well, I think it was originally a Catholic chapel, because the guy who built it, they were called the St. Clairs. That guy went to France to marry one of France's king's daughters, and then they came over to Scotland, because Scotland was Roman Catholic, well, still is half and half, right. Roman Catholic faith country. So if it was, and that was in 1450, so I'm presuming that would have been done for that. And just down from there, you'll probably see it in the Da Vinci Code movie, there's like a bridge, and it leads on to the Rosalind Castle. And right at the bottom of the Rosalind Castle, one of the knights rode up in the woods on a black horse, but he had a warhound with him, like a dog.
Oh yeah, that's sick.
And one of the Scottish knights was alerted to him coming up, and obviously they had a fight. And the Scottish guy killed the knight and killed the dog. And then he went back into the Rosalind Castle, and 3 days later he was coming out to do his sentry duties. And this, all he heard right all the way through the woods, because there's woods at the bottom, was this sort of like demonic growling. And then when he was trying to figure out who it was this warhound, and he just dropped dead with a heart attack, apparently.
Whoa, that's a crazy story. Yeah, I'm looking up some of this stuff. It was originally, like a lot of the big old cathedrals you have over there, it started out Roman Catholic. It's now Episcopalian. So I wonder what the Episcopalian church is like in Scotland, because in America it's not so good.
Well, to be honest with you, I would say about out of everyone in Scotland, I would say that the further north you go in Scotland, the more you'll get people going to church.
Yeah.
But no, they're nothing special, and they don't really hold any sort of importance and society as such. The further south you go in Scotland, the more sort of agnostic people are, or atheists, or I mean, that's me coming from a family of Catholics, and I can't remember the last time I went to church.
Yeah. And also the thing about this church that you were noting earlier, it is very bizarre how filled with pagan stuff it is. This I can't. I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation. Maybe you can help me. But okay. Yggdrasil, the old sacred tree from the north. Yggdrasil.
Oh yeah, that's from Nordic. That's meant to be like the tree of life.
Yeah, right. It's the tree
that's meant to connect the heavens to hell.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just weird. And like I was saying before about the fairy glen and the fairy pools.
Right.
I was actually looking into it. Scotland is stuffed. We've got blooming what do you call it? Alistair Crowley's old house up here. We've got Coco Chanel's old holiday home up here.
Mm-hmm.
And the Alistair Crowley one, the guy from what was it called? There was a band, Led Zeppelin. The guitarist and producer Jimmy Page.
Jimmy Page, right.
Well, when he went up there today, I think he was working on an album.
Mm-hmm.
He was going, I mean, he did write it down and he detailed it about all the queer and weird stuff that happened in that house.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if he was renting it out, but he left. And not long after that house burned to the ground. And there was the water was cut off, electricity, there was no gas going to it. And that house is also on the banks of the Loch Ness.
Really?
Yeah, and you can't make, honest to God. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by see all the connections. It's almost like you're writing a novel.
Yeah, right.
Sean,
exactly.
Just write this. And,
well, the Irish and the Scottish are some of the best. My favorite storytellers. What's your take on the Loch Ness monster?
Me personally, I think it was somebody who got a camera and thought, I'll do this and I'll get my mate to go in there and put his hand up like that. I think it's fake.
Right.
Myself personally. But what they did do, which I think was even more interesting, they had all those ship or boats lined up in the loch. To give you an idea of how big Loch Ness is, every single lake in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, Loch Ness still has more water in it.
Whoa.
That one lake. Now, all the boats had went from one side of the lake, loch to the other, and they were going up and down and kind of scanning the whole bed of the lake. What they did find was a World War II plane that had crashed in the Loch Ness.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah, so
that's crazy.
That's what I'm thinking. I thought that's more interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's good. I love old lake stories. Look at that. We were just pulling up pictures of the Loch Ness right now.
This is the photo she's referring to.
Is that bottom right one real?
Just looks like an arm coming up and basically
that's what I'm saying. It looks like he says to his mate, like, go in there, we'll be minted. But there's actually an information centre off Loch Ness, and it's Loch Ness and Nessie and all that nonsense. But what it actually does is it just tells you about this is what we're doing to make sure that the loch's healthy, and this is the kind of, it's more educational rather than, Nessie really exists,
right.
But
I don't want to dox you at all, but do you live anywhere near that lake?
No.
Okay.
No, but here we go about Scotland. No, but I'll tell you where I do live. I live in a city called Dundee.
Okay.
And a little bit of history. William Wallace got arrested for fighting in a pub in Dundee back in the day. Well, there's two ships in Dundee. One's called Discovery, which was a research ship that went to the Antarctic with Scott.
Mm.
And the other one is the Unicorn, which was a Georgian time, a frigate. Now, and I was looking at that regarding American history, and I'm like, well, that would be the exact type of ship that he would have sent over to America. Right.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, they're lovely ships. I mean, if you look at the Discovery, it's like a tall ship, and it's docked, and people can go and visit it. They can go on the ship. It's really, really interesting.
So,
and also, My old high school, if you were to look at a photograph of my old high school, it looks like something out of Harry Potter. It's called, feel free to look it up, it's called Morgan Academy, Dundee. And if you see that, and because I had an experience, a weird experience in there as well.
Holy moly. You are from Harry Potter.
Have you seen it? Have you got it?
Oh, yeah.
So when I say this to people and like the ships and the school and Aleister Crowley's cottage and Coco Chanel, she had a cottage back in the day. They must have been doing some queer stuff up here to have all the finest people coming up here.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
Well, it's school. At the very top of my school, you'll probably see a little steeple thing. I used to play the cello and I wanted to give it up. And we were at school one evening and my music teacher says, "Can you take that up to the music room?" My name's Catherine. I don't know why it says Jerry on there, but my name's Catherine.
Oh, funny.
She says, "Can you take it up for us?" And I went, "Sure." And it was dark and it's an old school. And I went up there and I was really struggling because I'm only 5'3" and this was an orchestral sized cello. So I'm struggling up the stairs and I finally got up there and I'm like, "Oh, for goodness sake." And I heard this woman laughing. And I was not a child, it was a woman. And I thought, well, that must be my music teacher. And I was going to turn around and go, "Well, I've not dinged it, I've not damaged it, I've managed to get up here." And I turned round and there was nobody there. And I thought, that was weird. And then this laughing started at the back behind me. And I thought, oh, this is time for me. I'm out of here. And I've never went down flights of stairs so fast in my life.
That's incredible. I mean, that's scary, but that's incredible. I love the cello. That's one of my favorite instruments. This is a really interesting place to go to school. So
lots of things went on there. The school was actually built as a hospital during the Boer War.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then it got changed into something else, and then it got changed into a private school. And well, there you go. Yeah. So before you called, we were talking about our president over here, Trump, who is Scottish. What do the Scots think of the Trump dynasty over here?
I've always liked him because before all this circus, before he said, "Oh, I'll be president," I always when I read articles and things, I always found him to be a charitable man, and he seemed to be like a liberal, proper liberal. You know, there wasn't this conservative or Democrat. He just seemed to be right across the board. I mean, he put that black lady up in one of his hotels, and she's still there,
right?
You know, as far as I believe. And he was given awards from the BAME community, you know, for all the work that he's done, charity stuff and things like that. But regarding this Epstein stuff, I don't know what it is, but everybody that I used to like, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel and everybody else, I used to kind of think, finally they've got somebody in that can actually make a difference. And it's like everyone's been kiboshed. I don't know if they're playing 4D chess or whatever, and they're going to go, ta-da!
I don't think so.
We had to keep it quiet because we had to be this clandestine because other stuff was going on. But here we are. But that could just be me and wishful thinking.
I know a lot of people want that to be the case. I don't think so. It would be great.
I don't either.
But I'm tired of being used as a pawn for some deeper game going on, especially when it comes to that kind of nefarious crime. And his body language and the things that he was doing, you know, with that reporter who was asking questions, he was so visibly upset. It didn't seem like someone who had some ulterior plan going down. It seemed like someone who's tired.
I don't know what it is. It's like something's happened, and I'm like that. And every time, like I say, I'm looking in because I love history and also seeing connections and that coupled with the weird stuff that happens to me.
Right.
And I'm like, right, okay, weird stuff. You know, the Appalachian Mountains?
Of course.
They continue on in Scotland.
That's right. Someone just called us and said the same thing. I forget who that was, but Yeah. I just learned that.
And the weird thing is, the Irish had the potato famine. In Scotland, they had what was called the Highland clearances. Basically, the land, the guys who owned all the land and rented them out to crofters said, no, forget it. We want you out here. So the Scottish then moved over to America. And I'm like, where's that connection? A direct connection geologically from Scotland to America. And then it's like they're going back there again. And I think a lot of them settled in the south and some went to Canada.
That's interesting. I've read that before. One of my favorite movies from my childhood was in Scotland. It was the Highlander. You know that movie?
Oh God, yeah, The Quickening.
So good.
Yeah, the Quickening. Yeah, that was really good. When you consider how small my country is, and even if you look into how many things they invented. And sorry to be, but also the Scottish man also invented the American Navy.
Oh, interesting. Who was that?
Yeah, I mean that's weird, but like I say, I mean, there's nothing weirder than real life, and I'm terrible when it comes into researching and looking into stuff. Sometimes I have to stop myself because I could be going on for 12 hours because I just love it. Because when you do that, it takes you down another path and another path and another path.
I love it. That's why I love hearing these stories. You never know what you're going to learn and what rabbit hole you're going to find yourself lost down. But I really appreciate you calling again. It's good to hear from you, and I hope you have a good night.
Well, thank you guys, and sorry, chat, if I took up too much time. But you guys have a great night.
Thanks. Same to you.
Thanks, Jay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye. Incredible. So our first caller from Harry Potter. I believe she was referencing John Paul Jones. Seeing played a pivotal role in the early U.S. Navy. He didn't invent it in the sense of establishing the entire institution from scratch. The U.S. Navy's origins trace back to the Continental Navy. John Paul Jones was a key figure within that Continental Navy, and his daring exploits and leadership earned him the title the Father of the American Navy. Shout out to Scotland. Amazing. Let's get another caller up in here.
Yeah, let's. And actually, real quick update on the anniversary of the Trump shooting. Mm-hmm. We actually do have something that came down the wire here.
Oh, word.
And I want to see. I might have this muted, but I did not. I completely forgot about this.
Is that all it's going to be?
Secret Service have now been suspended for security failures connected to the attempted assassination of President Trump nearly 1 year ago.
Now, these
Sources say
ends.
they faced anywhere from 10 to 42 days suspension. An independent review showed a series of law enforcement breakdowns left Trump vulnerable. A bullet grazed his ear and a firefighter was killed before a sniper killed the shooter.
That's it?
That's it.
That's it? We got
it.
Suspended.
A couple of months, and you wonder if they were suspended with or without pay.
Right. And which ones? Was it like those little women who were in front of him?
Yeah. Are they going to disclose the names?
Was it people on the roof? I remember there were being agents who were I guess in trouble when it first happened, and I think one of them stepped down, but there's a lot more I need to know. How did this guy even get up there? Like I was saying in the thing I wrote, we were hearing all these conflicting reports. Nothing made sense. But that's fog of war, which is why I was starting to think all this is so fabricated. Like I do think a bullet did leave a gun.
The photo is the photo that shows the jet stream behind him as his head turned. I mean, me and my buddy have discussed this a few times. It's really, really hard to fake that.
That's a crazy photo.
And it's not a doctored thing that we saw. So I mean,
I think we saw something real, but I think there was theatrics built into it. Like false flags. Something is so bizarre about it.
There's a lot of it that doesn't look planned, and then the rest of it looks like at some point, old Donald J just woke up and said, holy shit, this is actually good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, watch this.
Yeah, he's great. He's great at branding.
Boom. I think the election was won at that point.
For sure.
Raised his fist in the air. That was it. That was
for sure.
That was the victory lap.
I think so too. He got Elon. I don't think Elon is the one that he helped. Definitely, he helped push him over. But I think the people have made up their minds. I had seen so many people in cities change their mind and say they're going to vote for Trump. They're going to hold their nose and vote for Trump just because life was getting so bad. But yeah, just so many questions surrounding that day. Like everything. Who was in charge of the body afterwards? What was up with the parents? Why all these conflicting reports? And then once we get through that, I want to know about that guy who shot up, who killed those people outside the Israeli embassy in DC just like a month ago. That was weird. I think it was on this show. We pulled up the video of the arrest and how weird it was when evidence was dropped and some random person picked it up and walked away with it. That was weird. We don't know everything we need to know about the Idaho shooter. There's been a lot of violence going on and not a lot of answers. I don't rely on these people for answers, and I don't know if I even trust the answers, but the lack of anything, like not even it being a part of the conversation, like we talk about JFK's head getting blown off all the time, but we've just stopped talking about the attempt on Trump's life. I'm sure they'll talk about it, in a year. I'd imagine Trump will say something about it on the anniversary. How could he not? He's the king of branding. He would even brand his own assassination attempt, like he branded his own mugshot. So
I think desensitization over time also kind of takes away from,
for sure,
such a shooting like Kennedy's was so historic, and people, that wasn't something that you saw every day.
Yeah.
We had this attempt, and then we had the whole Mar-a-Lago situation that happened not long after, and it just. The country is just so polarized and desensitized now, in my opinion, that and it's maybe, really just like we're all like, we'd rather just sit there and be like, holy shit, let's get the pictures of this than actually be like, this was a historic attempt on a president's life. We haven't seen this in decades. It's just, I don't know.
And maybe we've been desensitized from the beginning, with all the wars, with Abraham Lincoln, what happened with him, what happened with, we had McKinley shot, I believe that was 1899 or 1900. And then we got Teddy, and when Teddy was running again under a Bull Moose party, he was shot. His speech saved his life, and he went back and gave that speech still. Reagan, Carter were shot. I'm missing someone.
Reagan made the joke at his first public address back from the shooting. Somebody popped a balloon in the back, and he said, missed me.
That's right.
That kind of comedic timing, man. I'm like, man, that guy had a pair on him.
Yeah, that's Hollywood for you.
He didn't even flinch.
Yep. I think we're just JFK. Obviously, we are probably nationally desensitized to violence.
Absolutely,
it's definitely that's part of it for sure. But we seem obsessed with trying to figure out the JFK thing still. The people have kind of given up on Lincoln. Not that I don't think people have any questions, but I do think the whole thing is weird with Lincoln. I think. It's just fascinating to me that one of the most popular actors in the country shot Lincoln. And then there was a hysteria of trying to find John Wilkes Booth. And you can go look at these reports and the headlines after he shot Lincoln. And there was a hysteria amongst the people. Everyone thought they were seeing John Wilkes Booth because everyone knew what he looked like. If you were like paying attention to culture and stuff, and he was in the theaters all the time, he was performing at the White House. People had an idea from like drawings and the headlines. Everyone saw John Wilkes Booth everywhere. And there are discrepancies in that story in terms of when he hurt himself and the ride he took to, I think it was the Mud House, all that stuff. But now we have Trump. I mean, he didn't die, thankfully. I don't want to see a death. But it's still fascinating that we aren't really getting anywhere with answers. So we'll see. Let's go to another caller.
Yeah, let's bring on a guy named Jamie.
Boom, boom, boom.
Jamie, you're on the air. What's going on?
Yo, what's up, fellas?
What up? How you doing?
Man, any better, and I'd have to take something for it.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah. Okay, this thing is, I'm looking at my screen. Y'all bear with me.
Yep.
My eyes are bad. It says, would you like to use Zoom with Siri? So, no, I don't want to do that right now.
Sounds good.
Right. Okay, we're going to skip Siri. Y'all can hear me, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I just really thought Jerry. I think she said her name was Catherine. She was amazing.
Right.
She made me want to do my Sean Connery. She was amazing woman.
Yeah, she's awesome.
It was awesome. It was great. I loved it. I felt like my call is going to suck now.
What do you got?
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, right. Hey, I did talk to you guys last week. I think before you went to the wedding and everything, and I got to share with you. I had a different screen name, which was like a part, like my name, kind of broke down. And then I thought, I don't like that, so because it was different anyway. So I have spoken to you before.
Yep.
So I'm not a first time caller.
That's all good.
I hope to call back again.
Definitely.
In the future.
Well, what's going on?
Well, man, I tell you, it's been a rough day for me, dude.
I'm sorry.
Mentally and stuff. I'm a believer, but I've had a checkered past and things, and so it's just been a struggle to really. I think I'm, with people around me. I have a great family and everything, and they love the heck out of me. You're really trying to make up for things that you can't make up for. Not that anybody's wanting you to make up for anything, but it's as a man, I feel like it's just this is self-inflicted, just attack. And I'll get to a story I had, that's kind of relevant to what the program's about, but that's just kind of my day. I kind of just this self-inflicted wounds that you just keep reopening because your life's not where you'd like it to be, but why? Because of the mistakes you made, so you're trying to move past.
Oh yeah, dude, I know how that goes. I go through those all the time, and it's all relative. Everyone's in different times in their life, and we're all flawed people, unfortunately, but that, in my opinion, is the truth. And, all we can do is try our best to recognize those flaws and work on them. But, we're human. Right. I was gonna say unfortunately, but I love being human, despite how sometimes the suffering is so great. But if we pay attention to it and don't let it consume us, I'd like to think that we can learn from those times, and knowing that it's always possible that we're going to cycle back to the those times that just feel impossible to get through. But hopefully, with a little more information each new time, with the thing that we learned from the last time we were in that situation. And I think it's just going to be part of life. I don't think there's a cure to the flaws we have. We have faith and belief in God, and that's amazing, but we're still human, and we're still going to have to struggle through all that stuff as we're trying to make sense of ourselves and our surroundings and our shortcomings and suffering and all that good stuff that comes with human nature. So totally understand where you're coming from, dude. And I hope the clouds part soon.
Well, I appreciate that. And to give you some context, I was at a small church, 100 or so people. I was leading worship, and, I had a past. I'd been, an addict in the past and such. And, I was in this position of leadership, and it was really here's a guy that, a lot of people here can't relate to, pouring out something that, he found in a place that they've never been.
Right.
And trying to draw from them a passion that they may not necessarily know, if that makes sense. If the prodigal son comes home, right? He's expecting to be a servant, but there's a celebration, right? He doesn't go, well, heck yeah, man. There's a humility to it, right? But then there's a brother who struggles with him being there and getting celebrated, right? So it's not like it's intentional, like you said, being human. We're one of those two characteristics most times. Like walking with Christ, you feel like you're doing everything you should be, right?
Right.
Or you're far away and he has nothing to do with. And it's like finding that place in between that dual personality of the believer. the flesh.
It's tough because there are days when you feel like God is far away, like you're saying. And I think everyone feels that way sometimes, especially when you're in those moments where like, how is this happening? It's almost comical how everything is falling apart around me. It's like a domino effect. And it seems like it's both hilarious and the most worst thing that could possibly happen to you. Because every time you turn around, it's like you find another hole in the ship and you're trying to get all the water out. But, you know, in the past few years, I try to find things that make my connection to God stronger when I feel distant, and that come through family, you know, being in nature, or just reading scripture. And it's different for everybody. And sometimes, you know, even believers have a hard time, you know, facing it because it's like, how can my life be this bad right now? And you know, but still trying to, you know, God loves me.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm not like, oh, why me? Why me? I know why. That's again, it's like, I know, like, God's not mocked. You know, whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. You know, I'm not a guy who thinks, oh, I can tell you, bro.
Right.
If I got caught doing everything I did, I wouldn't be talking to you right now.
Right.
I got away with so much. It's unbelievable. It began to feel like, now this is after I was in this worship setting for a couple and a half or so years, it collapsed. Okay. I began to feel like I don't belong even here, right? So not only do I not belong in the world, can't fit in the church, right? Because I remember that there are people out there, right? Because the church is packed with people who choose to come there. The world is packed with people who didn't ask to be there, right? And those people are searching in that darkness, you know, and I'm here somebody that I should be sharing the light with them, but I'm out there using, or I'm out there doing these things that I shouldn't be doing. But coming back from that and owning that in front of people and owning the mistakes that you made, not just, because, you know, to desire to come home is a work of God, right? So I'm like in this place where I know God brought me home and he's cleaned me up, but I don't feel any more like I don't have any more confidence in myself or feel better about myself than I did in the other setting. You understand what I mean? Where it's not like I feel so inspired, but I'm so tired. Right. You know, I don't have, you know, I'm all this creation, but no motivation. You understand?
Yeah. Well, I would say I know the feeling of like you feel undeserving of redemption and also unmotivated.
Survivor's guilt, bro.
It is kind of like that. Yeah. You know, and I know what you mean about still being here after doing a lot of things.
Can I say something?
Locked up. Yeah, of course.
Can I say something? I got asked to sing at a funeral this Saturday.
Okay.
This young man was 30 years old. I'm 50 years old. This woman, his mother, who contacted me to sing at the funeral, through my wife's cousin, I had sang at that church before. She had heard me sing and asked me to sing if I would sing at this funeral. This situation is so horrible, bro. This young man was ex-military, special forces, struggled with, you know, issues, PTSD, different traumatic things in his life, some addiction as a result, got himself clean. I talked to his mother, and she said he was doing well, had just gotten himself right with the military to begin to collect his money, and he was getting his life together. That day she spoke to him. The next day she called him, could not reach him. She thought he's planning to use or something. Well, the next time she heard anything, he had apparently gotten a hold of what she called ketamine. I don't know how much she knew, but that he got a hold of this and supposedly had hallucinated and thought someone was chasing him and went through a glass door on the 4th floor of a building and to the concrete.
Oh, it's terrible.
And she's telling me, this woman is telling me this. And I'm just like, and I'm going through all my things, right? Like, oh, poor me.
Right.
And still struck. And I'm just like, she picked the wrong person, Lord. No way I'm supposed to, you know what I mean? Because it's so heavy, bro.
I don't think so. I think they picked the right person.
It's so heavy, dude.
Hey, man, I totally understand that feeling, but I think
it just feels so heavy right now.
I think they picked the right person because despite your struggling, you are thinking about this deeply, and that you understand the value of the redemption, and you understand how dark it is out there, and that you found that light after the dark. So you are the best person to be in that situation to sing about that, despite that, like what you were saying, the survivor's guilt or the undeserving feeling of the redemption.
And I give the glory to any good to, like, this woman would call. Why? Because, God did something. He did something to touch her heart that she would think, right? So I don't think I'm something, but there's ways. It's like, when you pick up a hammer and you drive a nail, you don't put the hammer down. The hammer goes like, I'm the man, right? No, the man that swung you and used you is the man. You're just a hammer, right? Hard-headed, no good for nothing unless somebody picks you up and hits something with the hammer. And I mean that in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also, for me, I've turned the hammer on myself, right? I took the hammer and I'm just whapping on myself, and here's this opportunity to do something for someone else. And I'm just overwhelmed.
I totally get that. I totally get that feeling.
Overwhelmed, bro.
But I feel like you were there for a reason, and you were saved here to be that guy singing at that funeral, as sad as that is, and horrible that story is. You can relate in your own ways, despite being here.
Yeah.
So I think it's as dark and sad as it is there's the beauty to that, and I think that will come through in what you do at the funeral, and it will register with people there who don't even know or understand what you've been through or what the deceased has been through. But there will be a tone, I'm sure, there that they'll pick up on, and that will move people, and that people will not forget that. And I think it's maybe a bit of healing that you'll go through on your end, having to do that.
Okay. I appreciate that, man. It's kind, and Brandon, you guys, that you let people share like this, dude.
Yeah, of course, man. I love hearing from people. We're all going through this stuff.
Man.
Yeah, hey, man, so are you.
But if I can, I want to tell a story. It's a Shadow Man story.
Let's do it.
And it's real, bro.
All right, let's do it.
And it kind of helps me deal with this kind of thing in my life, because it kind of gave me, like, just bear with me, man.
No, take your time, dude. Take your time.
So my wife and I have been married twice. She married me again. But before, like early on, it's 30 years now, almost 28 years. And I was laying in a bed. We didn't have any kids yet. And we were going to bed. And I was laid in this little house. The room was dark. The door was cracked open, about 12, 15, not big, feet away from the bed, not a big room. The bed was like really too big for the room. And I could see the door cracked open and light from the living room or the kitchen was coming in. Well, she's laid down beside me, and I'm asleep on my stomach guy, right? Boom, right? So I can't sleep, really. I can't fall asleep.
Right.
If I get to that position. And I'll try to get through this. I know other people want to call, but
you're good.
I was sitting up, right? And all of a sudden, it's like I was asleep because something grabbed me, dude, and threw me, like yanked me from where I was and threw me across my bed. I'm like right over top of my wife. And I hit the wall. I stand up. It grabs me again, throws me across the bed. And I said, in Jesus' name, leave me alone kind of thing. That's my first reaction. And it stopped, and I was like, whoa, what happened? So I leaned back, and I just laid back again. My eyes closed. Boom! Yanked me up again, threw me around, threw me over the bed again. And I was down on the ground beside the bed, and I was squished down into like this fetal position by hands on my shoulder, like just like trying to push me through the floor. And I could turn my head and looked up, and all I saw was this shadow man. That's all I could describe him as. He was just a silhouette of a man. And I screamed, in Jesus' name, get out of here, whatever. And it was gone. I never saw it leave my room, but through that door. But each time I would look at that door and I would lay back down, looking to see, seeing how the thing's coming in here. My wife's still laying there. She ain't moved. It feels so real. And I laid back this last time, and all of a sudden I felt like it was going to grab me again, and it didn't happen. So I was kind of relieved that was it. Well, a year or so went by. We ended up living with her grandmother. We were young, and I was struggling to find something to do in my life, and I was struggling to sleep, and I sat up in the bed at her grandma's house. And so I sat up in the bed, and I turned and I looked up. And when I did, there was a dresser with the old school mirror on it, the big arc mirror. And the window behind me had the blinds closed, but the street light was lighting that window behind me. And so that light just cast my silhouette onto that mirror. Is all I could see was the silhouette of me. Mm-hmm. And right then and there, I knew who it was that was trying to destroy me. It was me.
Right.
That I was my own worst enemy. And that is the enemy that I would fight every day of my life, and that Jesus will be my help.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? When I start whooping me, I was going to wait all night to talk to y'all because I just wanted to share the struggle, because I know you're a believer. You've been through things. Mm-hmm. And just somebody out there that, hey, it is real. The struggle is real. I made it through today.
That's it. Every day's a blessing, man. Every day is a blessing. And I really appreciate you sharing that with us. I think a lot of people can relate to it in different ways, and people who can't will probably remember what you've said and what you've gone through later in their life when they do come across those things, because all that stuff is waiting for us. And not in terms of what maybe we've done in our past, but in terms of struggling with loss, death, and how to make sense of it, plus faith. It's wild stuff, man. But I'll say a prayer for you tonight, and hit me up online and send me a message. Let me know how the funeral goes. All right, I want to know.
Hey, I will, and I appreciate you and Brandon. And I don't think it's weak for men to cry, but I don't like to cry for no reason.
Yeah, I hear you.
And
I hear you.
We want, if we're going to be broken, let's be broken for the right reason, because then the pieces can be found.
Right. I agree.
Put that together.
Sometimes you got to do it. I mean, you don't want a Jordan Peterson cry every day on every podcast, but
I want to cry for crying's sake,
Right.
If I'm crying, I know something's happening, right? Something's happening, because the reality of being a man is acknowledging, your mistakes and knowing that when it does come to pass, the part that you had to do with it was, just not giving up, because nobody's more successful than anybody else. Like, I want a podcast. Who don't want to do what you're doing, man? Mm-hmm. But not everybody's got the gift. You guys got the gift.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
To do what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
We appreciate it. We appreciate you guys, all of you calling in, and you being so open about everything that you're going through, despite how tough it is to face. But I believe in you, dude. I think you got this. And like I said, hit me up after all this.
I will, man.
I want to hear
Thanks
from you.
Thanks for your time.
Of course.
I know other people can't wait to get in.
Thanks, man. Have a great night. All right. We'll talk soon. Later. Man, it's crazy he was saying that. Just today I was thinking about people I've lost in my life, 4 in particular, who all took their lives, 3 in high school. And it was so insane being that young, losing people at that age. Two of them, I forget exactly what it was, but I remember the story we were told was that 2 of them had Lyme disease and their medicine had like some crazy reaction. And I won't get into specifics, but those 2 suicides were insane. And the third they're all shocking. The third still doesn't make sense to me. And then one of those people in high school who we lost was this incredible guitar player who I played in a band with for a little while. And then I met after he passed away, I would go to college. I meet someone who plays guitar who really reminded me of that kid in high school who took his life. And me and this guitar player made some songs. I put out those. We recorded them a while ago, and I couldn't put them out because he took his life in Hawaii. He hanged himself, and he had a kid and a wife, and it blew my mind. It actually, what is today? It is just 3 days ago was the 4-year anniversary of the day he took his life, actually, and that was shocking. So I never really officially put them out, and because I couldn't bear listening to them. I love those songs, but losing him, it totally made no sense. I didn't want to even look at him or think about him. But I did put them out last year on Halloween after a few years, because it felt good to honor him and the music he did. And it's just shocking. Anytime you lose someone at all is shocking. But when someone takes their life, like our last caller, he's got us singing at this funeral, someone jumped out the window. It just adds this other dimension of darkness to the funeral. And so I totally understand where he's coming from, and I feel for him. But let's get to another caller.
Yep. Before we do, really quick, like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. You guys know the drill. Don't forget about Culture War live shows coming up. And I'm an idiot, and I had this written on here as June, July. It's actually July, August. So, I'm an idiot for not noticing that for a couple of weeks. But end of the month, the 26th, the 2nd and the 9th, tickets are on sale, dccomyloft.com, $30. Come out, hang out. We'll all be there except for Shane, who will be kicking it in a cloud or something, whatever Shane does when he leaves this room.
That's how I get here.
And we appreciate all of our callers for calling in. Thank you so much. We'll get to a couple more of you here. One of the last things I want to address before we do, our friends over at Pop Culture Crisis actually had a clip posted today. They were talking to Philip Bonte about the Sarge, and I want to bring up Sarge's tweet here. Yes. And see what they had to say, because I missed this. I didn't even know that this happened. So let's peep this and see what we got.
What did you think of Sergeant Payton on Inverted World this week?
He was hilarious.
What was going on with this? People were saying he was like crazy.
He's very crazy.
What was all that?
Phil. Starts out kind of chill, and then it gets more and more intense. It looks like a lot of cocaine. He's sweating like mad doing the call in from his car.
Sarge, we're gonna need a drug test.
He is a general. I think he says that he's a general in the Fourth Reich.
And really quick, I just want to stop and remind you all that Payton just retweeted this and said thanks. Just said thanks for the shout out. So there's 15 more seconds. Let's get through it.
Antarctica.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that like thumbnail when I was on like the back end page of Rumble the other day. I'm like,
bonkers.
People just be saying shit.
Thank you for your service, Sergeant Payton.
So.
I agree. Thank you to the Sarge.
Incredible. Do you think someone on drugs would retweet something like that so eloquently? I mean, people, I think they're underestimating Sarge.
There's a confetti popper in there. There's an emoji of a rocket and a UFO going to space. I mean, that takes a little coordination. So
Hitler's obviously in that UFO emoji. For
You
those
guys,
who don't know.
you guys think he's out of his mind. I think he's on the right side of his rocker, and he's a perfect example of just how intelligent a person can be to the point of just madness.
Yeah.
So, and we're glad we gave him his time to shine on the show.
He'll be back at some point.
He will be back.
Well, thank you to Pop Culture Crisis. Thanks, Brett and Mary and Phil. That's amazing.
Phil actually texted me while the show was live. I get my phone buzzed, and I was sitting here in the chat, and I looked down, and it's just like, bro, WTF. And I'm like, just keep watching, dude. It was like 10 minutes into the show, he was already like, dude. And he sent me a picture of him and his girl watching at home. Shout out to you guys. I know you're out there.
Yep.
We love you guys.
You guys are the best.
Great hanging with you over the weekend in Chicago.
Amazing.
All right, let's get back to it without further ado. We got about 30 minutes left, so we got another couple callers in.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go to Cisco, who is next in my line. And that was an instant disconnection as I brought him on.
So they're like, nope, not tonight. Not tonight.
Nope.
They're like, nope, not a show like that. I called into the wrong show. She was like, wrong number.
All right, let's get Anthony in here. Ant, you're on Averta World Live. What's up?
Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Chilling, man.
Doing good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Playing some Fortnite, chilling.
Sick. Well, what's going on?
Yeah, so I wasn't gonna call in, but got on the topic of kind of some spirituality and wanted to share my first heroic dose with you guys.
Okay.
That I did.
Walk us through it.
Yeah, so about a year ago, I went to outer space, and it started off just like any other trip, and I won't give you guys all the flavor because I know that can drag on. But things were going really good, listening to some great music. I was outside in nature. Everything was beautiful. But as the night went on, I went outside, had myself a little fire. And as I'm sitting out there, I can see around me, like, like character design in video games, like how they have like the grids around like a 3D character.
Right.
Like, so these neon green lights were like forming all around me. And I felt like, I was like, oh my God, this is the simulation. This is the simulation everybody's talking about. And I'm like, no way this is real. And like, I'm looking at the stars, and the stars are like starting to explode and turn into like little cherry blossoms. But the main part of this is like, I've always been kind of spiritual. Like I went to Catholic school growing up. But I've never really felt the faith. Like I felt like it was just kind of going through the motions. Like that's kind of what's expected of you is to believe. But
right.
At that point, like I'm pretty blasted off.
Are we on a plant, liquid, or a tab?
The actual mushy.
Okay.
Like the actual, yeah. So I did like 7 grams.
Oh goodness.
And it was quite the experience. But as I'm walking back inside and I'm kind of going through, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced doing something like that, but you kind of like go through this like roller coaster of like tripping and being in the real world again.
Yep.
But I come into my room, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I am like forced to the ground, like in a bowing position, like kind of how like, like the Muslims pray, like on your knees, hands and knees, head to the ground. and like I can't move. I just feel this immense pressure like forcing me to the ground, and I can kind of feel somebody standing in front of me on the other side of the veil. And I'm getting like little glimpses of like cobblestone and grass, and it almost felt like heaven. Like it was like I wasn't really afraid of this happening to me. Like it was just like, you know how Moses in the bush, like he couldn't look at the bush.
Of course.
Like you can't, when you're in the presence of God, you know, like you can't make contact. But anyway, I kept hearing this like echo in my soul, you know, like it was like, that's the way I can kind of like almost like a telepathy. It kept asking me who I was. And I was like telling this being like who I was. I told him my name. I told him, you know, where I grew up. Told him who my parents was, and he kept saying no. And I'm like running out of things of like trying to describe myself. And at the end of it, like I heard that little echo again, and it was like, and it all made sense. I was like, I am none of these things that I've constructed of myself, but what I am is a child of God. And it was like, so it was like a very transformative thing. And so as soon as I said that out loud, like I was able to move again. Like I was able to stand back up, and the trip was completely over.
Wow.
So yeah, I think I finally got my answer that I've always been looking for. And yeah, I feel like all the things that society, you know, like how we identify ourselves, like I think our most core part of our being is we are children of God. And I just wanted to share that. And I hope that guy that called in before me, I wish him all the best, and maybe he can find some strength in that, because it sounds like he had already been through a lot of things. And you know, like he just came out on the other side. So I just hope he remembers his own strength, and that God doesn't, you know, challenge us with anything we can't handle. That's the truth. I appreciate that story. That's amazing. And I think it's a great thing for all of us to remember. And yeah, I almost had some flashbacks while you were describing the simulation appearing before you. That was crazy. Yeah. I'm glad I don't do that anymore. But that's amazing. And I'm glad that you found that feeling in you. And that's amazing. And I think that's great for people to hear, man. But don't do drugs. Yeah. I know it kind of, but also like, if you've ever done that, like I don't know. I've never felt like I've been out of my mind, you know, like I've always felt like I've had a rational grasp on things.
No offense, bro, but you ate a quad.
Yeah, that was a lot. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you know, sure. Props to you for taking that and turning it into a learning experience.
He did say heroic dose.
I would have definitely ended up taking a trip to the psychiatric unit of the hospital on a quad, but that's just me. Bit of a lightweight these days.
Yeah, I went from doing like very small amounts to just like, let's go to outer space, man. Let's get weird.
Let's do it. I mean, I'm glad you made it back.
Yeah, I've got some other great stories about shadow people, which I'll call back and share with you. But
awesome.
Yeah, I just wanted to make that one quick, and I just kind of wanted to share that, and hopefully that guy from before, you know, find some strength.
100%. I love it. I think he will. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, and please do call back.
Yeah, will do. Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
That is a lot.
Yeah, man.
Not
7 G's
comes back. I remember there was a story, you know, Woodstock, New York was just like north of us. And there's all these weird stories of people in Woodstock who took way too much and like just never left the woods. There's some lady that was in a tree that thought she was an owl. You know, I never saw her. I think a lot of it was just legend. But Woodstock was a wild place. That's where I was just driving through Woodstock when I was in New York for that wedding. And I was like, how many people are still in these woods? David Bowie lived there until he died. Crazy stuff. But everyone knows the only Woodstock that matters is Woodstock 99. I'm just going to put that out there and see what people think.
I very distinctly remember the Limp Bizkit show. I was watching that live, and it was pretty amazing.
Rage Against the Machine before they were looking back, they were always bad politically, but that concert was amazing.
I was actually listening to Bizkit while I was doing the
incredible
pre-tests.
Which one?
Before you came in.
Which Limp Bizkit?
I went through kind of an old school phase, and got to some of the stuff.
$3 bill, y'all.
We touched a little bit on that. I had to hear Faith.
Faith is great. Counterfeit's great.
I love that.
Yep.
Got into some Starfish a little bit, even delved into the new album a little bit because I actually do really like that album.
I love it. The first song on that album is incredible. Out of Style, I think it's great song. And the last song on the album is really good. It's like a weird pop song that they have.
It's actually really good.
It's so good. It's
actually really good. It's surprising how caught on that song I got. It almost pissed me off because I was like, I can't believe that I'm doing this,
guys.
But it's so good
out there. Everyone listening, if you can, please go tag Fred Durst and tell him he has to do this show. He is big into UFOs. Want to get him on the show. We need Fred Durst on Inverted World Live. You would think it would be Wes Borland, but I think Fred is actually the one who is way more into UFOs. And I'd love to talk to that guy about that stuff.
And actually, while we're getting into that, releases, I saw earlier today or yesterday, Tom DeLonge is getting out his movie Monsters of California.
Oh, sweet.
Which I'm stoked to watch. So I need to do a little more research on all of that, find out what the deal is.
Yeah.
But
and the Deftones put out a new song today.
They did.
So a lot of good music coming out. Music's great.
It's good stuff.
It's great.
Excited.
Let's get to another caller. Maybe it's Fred Durst.
Yeah, we'll see. Gian, Damien, I see you boys in there. I want to give Cisco one more shot because he unfortunately dropped when we tried to bring him in. So, again, if I don't get to you guys, we'll get you on Monday, or I'll try to get at least one of you in here afterwards. So, let's try him again. Cisco, are you here? He dropped immediately again. That is some kind of issue I have not seen before.
Dang.
So,
It's like a prank?
No, I think he's getting cut when he tries to join for some reason. I don't know what the deal is. It's very weird. All right.
We'll try again.
Let's get our boy Damien in here.
I can see
Cisco, if you can hear, apologies, man. I don't know what's going on. Check
Definitely
your stuff,
try again.
Reset that app. Try to come back in. Damien, what is up?
Oh, not much, gentlemen. How are y'all?
Doing good.
Chilling, man.
What's going on?
Man, that's wild that y'all mentioned Limp Bizkit because I actually called with a question tonight that involves Limp Bizkit.
Oh my God.
No.
There's no way. There's no way.
Oh, dude, I promise.
Let's hear it.
Oh, man. I was wanting to call in and be like the caller a couple weeks ago. I also talked to my attorney to make sure that I was clear to talk about something that would not be terrorism charges.
Interesting.
On my old FedEx route, when I would deliver to Amish encampments, sometimes I would blare death metal and laugh at the looks they gave.
I love the Amish. That must have scared them. Can I ask what death metal specifically you played?
Oh, I was on a big version of Crown Kick for a while.
Okay, very good. Very good. I'm sure they love that.
Oh, yeah, they were still super friendly. Like, hello.
Amazing. Amazing. Shout out to the Amish. They don't have mustaches because it's an anti-war stance.
Nice. Yeah, they're cool. They make nice clocks.
Yep. So anyway, you were saying Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so it's a question about, like, I'm curious what you think the limits are between from simple coincidence to synchronicity to something paranormal. Which I'm no stranger to paranormal. I'm the one that called in a while back that had seen apparently ghosts all my life or whatever, and saw the creepy shadow lady and called her a B word, and y'all said maybe that's why she wasn't nice.
Yes, I remember that story.
Yeah,
I don't believe in any coincidence. I don't believe in any coincidence. I think even the simple ones, there's something behind it, a greater design that we can't understand because we're little humans. And so I think it is all sort of supernatural and connected. But I will say there are things I think that happen maybe in the political realm, but it happens elsewhere, but in the political realm is a good reason, where people engineer coincidences. The news does it a lot too, where they kind of use that as a way to endear themselves to their audience or make you feel like you're part of something bigger, but it's been manufactured to make it look like it was something spiritual when it was actually, born out of
Yeah, like a synthesized mystique.
Yeah, that's a good phrase. Definitely. They like weaponize it against us.
Like, see, this is just make it seem like something crazy, improbable, like mystical. Like, see, this is ordained by God. We're on the right side of things.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Like, nah, bro, it's cooked up by a focus group.
Exactly. Exactly.
But anyway, the scenario it's going to call in with that involves Limp Bizkit is I was, despite probably sounding crazy, saying I've seen things all my life, I'm a fairly rational person. I was in EMS for 10 years. And I'll try to be kind of pithy with this because I know there were some long calls earlier. It involves a few different little things. One, my dad he did. He was a junkie, and he did those like weird junkie things where he would try to use current terms, but he would use them wrong.
Okay.
And Rollin' by Limp Bizkit was huge at the time, and I don't know if it's because they did like the steering wheel motion in the music video or whatever, but sometimes when I'd go see him, we'd just go drive around, and instead of calling it road tripping like people I knew, he'd say, "Hey, do you want to go rolling?" And that was just his term for driving around.
Yep.
And I thought it was funny, but I'd be like, "Okay, Dad, sure." And there was this one particular area that we would drive around in. I guess he used to hang out there when he was younger, that I hadn't seen before, and then I hadn't seen since his death. And years later, I'm going on a 911 call out into the county, and I realized that we're heading out toward that area. And I tell my partner Carl that was beside me, I said, "Man, I haven't been out here since I used to hang out with Dad." And he'd call it rolling, and it was stupid and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And we were in this old ambulance where like the volume knob was busted. It was like an early 90s truck cab.
Yep.
To where they didn't have a physical stop. And you could try to turn it up, down, whatever. It just did what it wanted when it wanted. And I'm telling him about how I thought it's funny Dad said rolling for road trip. And we happen to be in that same area. And we go over a little hill, and the radio just turns itself up. And this guy sings out this line that says, "I was rolling down the road." And then the radio just turns itself down. And it stays off. And Carl looked over at me, and he was like, "Oh, hi, Dad."
Yep.
I thought, what are the odds of that shit?
Yeah, I love those little things. I think that's great. Some people just write it off and say it's just a coincidence. I tend to think that's something bigger.
Well, there's another step to it too. Is I was telling the mother hen of the base about it, so to speak, and she was the one that was on shift when Dad killed himself, but he didn't die immediately. They transported him to try to save him. He had like massive head trauma. He just dove off a bridge, and he died as they pulled into the parking lot of the hospital they went to. But I found out then that the ambulance I was driving at the time that happened is the one that he had died in.
Oh my goodness.
So that's like
that's crazy.
That's crazy. That gave me chills. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I'm like, at what point does it go from coincidence to synchronicity to something more, maybe,
Yeah. What do you think? What's your take? Because you have like different outlook on this stuff.
Well, no, I mean, I honestly, I was just thinking, man, I thought when he said this story, this was going to be like, hey, we took a bunch of ecstasy and I saw Fred Durst, like I didn't know that you were going to go down this road. Yeah. So that's, I mean, man, we've had a couple of pretty impactful stories tonight, so I'm trying to wrap my head around, the sides of all of this, and it's very misery stricken. So
I think that's a little. So we've had Owen Benjamin on this show, and he has a phrase when it comes to this stuff. He calls them little winks from God, and I think about that a lot. In terms of these synchronicities, I think that is a wink from God. It's like a little hey, we're here. We're watching. The dead are with us. To the degree that they're with us in our hearts and watching us from heaven, or others might not be watching us from heaven. But that's what I think those
or
are.
From the closet,
right? Yeah, somewhere in the closet. I think those things are. I think those are amazing little experiences. I've experienced them throughout my whole life, all the time, and I used to just write them off as just like a sterile coincidence. But I think life is too beautiful. As dark as it is, and we've had a lot of dark, heavy stories today, it's still like it's equally beautiful, And those little moments, some people just write them off, but I see them as just they're beautiful little windows into whatever's going on behind the curtain.
Yeah, it's weird. Like there's a lot of dark out there if you're either have to look for it or you're just around it a lot. Like doing the EMS thing for a decade, I saw a lot of that. But it is kind of a blessing in a way if you don't lose your mind or your faith from it. It does make you appreciate the opposite side of the coin that much more,
Oh yeah, so much more. And for the people who've either had to be around, like being EMS, I can't imagine the things you've seen. But the people who've been around death, or people who've been around hospitals, sickness, illness, like you're saying, if you don't become desensitized or lose your faith or lose your mind, I think you start to see how precious every single day is, and try not to let the material world bog you down. No, that's impossible. It's easier said than done. But
for sure.
You see just how it could end. I was an EMS, and my job that I had for 10 years was obviously nowhere like it, but I was around death in another capacity, having to clean out dead people's homes every day for 10 years. And so I was with the grieving family all the time. And so I would show up as a furniture mover, and then I'm sort of like a grief counselor, and then I'm moving their dead family members' furniture out of their house. And it's just furniture to me, but every piece of furniture was some memory for them, right? And so it's it was a weird situation. I have to balance all those emotions while also loading a box truck with a dead person's all their stuff. And you just learn, what the end looks like for a lot of people. Obviously very different than the things that EMS sees, because you're right there in it and it's wild. But I think there's a lot of people today who are around our age. I'm 40, and I think 30s, 20s. Honestly, it's a lot of people who are completely separated from death and don't experience it at all, and actively work to not be around it. And I understand why, but I think they've not having that connection to it, as dark as it is and as sad as it is. It's you start to lose the flip side of how beautiful life is and how precious everything is, because they start to feel like they're almost immortal. And it's like once you're away from death, you forget that it happens. I think that's a bad thing.
I think that's part of why people as a whole seem so fucking superficial too, because and it's like everyone knows they're gonna die, but it's like knowing there's a football game being played in the city, and the difference between it being on a TV in the corner of a bar versus you blinking and you're standing on the sideline.
Exactly.
That's
a good way of putting it.
And the closer people get to it, I think the more, you would hope the more in touch with reality they get. But some of the people in emergency services are still pretty fucking goofy.
Yeah. They can't be worse than postmen, can they? I'm sorry to the postmen listening. It's just a joke.
You ever seen an EMS guy go postal?
Oh, no. That sounds terrifying.
Fewer shootings? No.
Oh, man.
No, I thought I had something funny for that, but I don't. no EMS going postal. A lot of EMS and cops and fire doing unholy things with people that weren't their spouses, but that's another story for another day.
It happens. It happens. I mean, it happens in every industry, but I do hear those stories. Cops, soldiers. I think the stress I think that kind of work when you're in death every day can breed nihilism if you don't have some better foundation. And even people with a good foundation, it starts to erode. It's a lot, but I'm like super grateful for the EMS workers and all of them. You know, cops, you know, I love them, but I also hate them. I have a sordid history with 100%. But I'm grateful, you know, I'm grateful for them. You know, I'm from a small town where I was fighting the cops every weekend. But I think when you're in those situations, life or death situations constantly, it obviously does something to you. Man,
I think as a group, they have like emergency services in general, plus ER staff have like the highest addiction rate.
Yeah. Wow.
For like career group, and like risky behavior in general. But I don't know. It's like, I'm not even a religious person per se, but like the further and further collective society gets away from that, the more they try to use other shit to alleviate the same thing that religion would do the job for, you know?
Yep. Totally agree. They're trying to build their own God. Well, I appreciate you calling in and sharing that. That story gave me chills. I love it. Thanks, man.
Oh, y'all welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Damien.
Bye.
Yep.
Wow. What are the odds? Limp Bizkit into a Limp Bizkit caller.
And we were trying to go to Cisco too.
That means Fred Durst is going to be on the show.
Yeah.
Amazing. Should we try it? Do we have one more? Or?
We got a couple.
Okay.
We're getting pretty close to the end of the show.
Look at this. So how is it 11:55?
I'm gonna take my names down. We're gonna call it there for callers, I think, for the night, just so we can play it safe and on time. Thank you to all of our callers who have called tonight. We got a couple of minutes though, so I want to address one more thing we didn't get to that happened in the news this week. So let's get into it. We got a tweet from an astronaut.
What?
So, Nicole Vapor Ayers. Just wow, as we went over Mexico and the U.S. this morning, I caught this sprite. Sprites are TLEs, or transient luminous events, that happen above the clouds and are triggered by intense electrical activity in the thunderstorms below. We have a great view above the clouds. So, and she posted this picture here.
Can you go back and click the show more? What else did she say? Did you read the whole thing?
I think it just takes us to...
I want to know...
Sweet. Let's see. So scientists can use these types of pictures to better understand the formation, characteristics, and relationship of TLEs to thunderstorms.
Did she say where this is?
Over Mexico and the U.S. So somewhere geographically located in Northern America.
Like Texas?
I don't know.
It's July 3rd.
It's hard to get a look at this picture here. You can see some major cities down there, but it's hard to tell which with the cloud cover. So
that's crazy, though.
You wonder where were you going with the Texas idea, Shane? I feel like you were closing in on a location there.
I mean, I'm just curious.
We thinking SpaceX or
well, July 3rd. I'm trying to think of when the flooding happened. And I was trying to think of the terrible storms.
Relating to seeding, maybe?
And I don't know if it's seeding, but there's been a lot of images and radar over the past week that may or may not be real. A lot of people are sharing them of strange, anomalous patterns in the weather. And I was curious if this was attached to that at all and the time frame. I forget what day the flood happened. It might have been the 2nd or the 3rd.
I thought it was either the 3rd or the 4th, wasn't it? Or no, because we were still here. We hadn't left for Chicago yet. So it might have been actually the 2nd or the 3rd.
Yeah.
I know that it happened in the middle of the night around 1 a.m. is when they were starting to get those warnings, maybe just slightly before.
There's been a lot of weird things happening in the weather. And again, I get a lot of flack for like even questioning this stuff. I believe in natural disasters. I also think there's a lot of unnatural disasters because of things that we do. I actually think there is a climate change out there, but it's just because there's psychopaths like Bill Gates trying to literally change the climate. But yeah, I don't know about these, but I love that image.
At what point do you think natural disasters turned into these practical disasters, as I like to call them?
Probably after the atom bombs. Yeah. We started doing Project Cirrus in the 40s. I think that was 47. So the bombs have been dropped. All those think about all those bombs we did. I don't think that was good for the atmosphere. They were literally bombing the atmosphere. I mean, if you listen to Sergeant Payton, there's an atom bomb floating in the atmosphere.
Well, one of Rico Fermi's whole jokes was who's anybody want the side action on atmospheric ignition in the movie Oppenheimer? And it was just because of that possibility that the chain reaction wouldn't stop. Right. And they would ignite the atmosphere, leading to global destruction. So,
that's why I think David Lynch chose to do that 20-minute scene of an atom bomb exploding slowly, because to him, it was like that tore a hole in space-time. So I love that scene. It's from episode 8 of season 3 of Twin Peaks, The Return. I highly recommend it. The Nine Inch Nails, speaking of music, are also in that episode. It is incredible. You also see the woodsman appear, which happens to be a man who was an Abraham Lincoln impersonator. Just tying in so many things. I just love David Lynch, and I love Twin Peaks, and season 3 is the best. It's like an 18-hour movie if you can handle it. There is 10 minutes of someone sweeping a floor, which people hate, but what are you going to do? Brandon, where can they find you?
You guys, as always, can find me on Insta and Twix at Brando Inverted. Hit us up with your stories. We might even bring one of them on the show if they are just trippy enough. And as always, stay weird. Enjoy your weekend. Shane, get us out of here.
That was a fun episode. This was a fun week. Thank you guys again for tuning in for those pre-recorded episodes. Those were a lot of fun. It was so good to be back in the studio live and talking to everyone. It's always a pleasure. I cherish the phone calls, and I think it's important that we just talk and share stories. I think that's an incredibly important thing that we do, in person, on the phone, whatever, just trying to understand what the heck is going on this planet. But we will be back next week, Monday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, taking your phone calls. You can find me online everywhere at Shane Cashman, and I hope you all have a great weekend. Later.